Yes.
Now, we can talk about teams we're actually worried about. I'll start.
It's time to panic, Riv.
The Cleveland Browns, it's full-on panic mode because Deshaun Watson is in Daniel Jones, Bryce Young level of bad quarterback play. He had a 9 passer rating. I didn't get to see his time to throw. It has to be 5 or 6 seconds.
Yeah.
Nothing is in rhythm. Nothing is easy. He's sitting back there trying to scan the field. He's trying to evade sacks, but he keeps getting sacked. It's always negative plays. It's interceptions. It's fumbles. There was nothing good that came in this offense. And listen, we all love the Cleveland Browns defense. Last year, the best defense in football. They led up 30 to Dallas today. But the offense gave him no fucking chance, right? And I don't know if Joe Flacco is back there, coming in for help. But they have another version of Joe Flacco back there in Jameis Winston. When you give Deshaun Watson $230 million guaranteed, he has a long leash. But if the Browns, which I think are a smart organization at this point, outside of the Deshaun trade, all could say that's an utter failure. I think the front office, Stefanski, smart guys, they make good moves. In a couple of weeks, if this doesn't turn around, you have to put Jameis Winston in. Because the way Deshaun Watson is playing football right now is not starting level quarterback. It's not even really backup level quarterback. What I was watching was reminiscent of Zach Wilson, where you have an elite roster, an elite defense, you have some weapons on this team, but the quarterback play is so dreadful that you're not going to be able to compete against most teams. The Cleveland Browns, easy. Most team I'm panicked on.
I don't even think you should give him a couple weeks because I feel like this team can win a couple games and he still play like shit. And then you keep because I feel like last year he was 5-1, and because he was 5-1, you have a winning record with him. You kind of the leash gets longer. You know what I'm saying? Because you have that fake quote unquote winning record. But no, he was so bad today, and I felt like. At times, it felt like the defense was like in the first quarter. It felt like the defense was rushing him a little bit, and he just didn't look like Deshaun Watson of old. Then the defense was like, "No, this dude is really ass. Let's give him time and see what he could do." And he's missing Coop. He's missing Judy. Like he just could not get. Like he can't even make throws that are like he can't make nothing in the intermediate area. Deshaun Watson is bad, and he is like the one that's holding this roster back. And they do need to think about putting Jameis Winston in because I feel like Jameis Winston can give you an average level, and that's all this roster has really needed. We saw from Joe Flacco, he came in, he was pretty good, and they ended up making the playoffs. For this team to make the playoffs, they just need average level quarterback play, and I think Jameis Winston can give you that, but I think he'll give you, at minimum, better than what Deshaun Watson is giving you. He's objectively got worse every single time he stepped on the field. He's gotten worse from last year. He's gotten worse from the year before, and I know he's guaranteed all that money, but you have to start looking at it like, do we want to waste our players like Denzel Ward's prime, Myles Garrett, like Greg Newsome, Zadarius Smith? Do we want to waste these guys' prime, or do we want to try to win games now?
He took 6 sacks, 2 interceptions, 1 fumble. They were 2 for 15 on third down.
Yeah, he was awful.
It was one of the worst performances I've seen from a starting level quarterback or a starting quarterback, period. Forget about starting level because he's not that right now. His last straw will be week 5. They play against the Commanders. If you do not go out there and torch the Washington it goes Jaguars. You play the Giants also.
It could be week 3.
Week 4 I'm blanking on, but then week 5 you play the Commanders. If he does not play well against the Commanders, he gets sat down. Because the Commanders are going to be one of the worst pass defense in the league. We just saw Baker Mayfield go out there and absolutely torch them, 4 touchdowns. Mike Evans was a dog. Chris Godwin was a dog. And not to discredit the Buccaneers, but we just saw them put on a light show. Deshaun Watson should go out there and at least put on a respectable performance. If he goes out there and he throws for just over 200, he goes and throws for under 200 yards, a touchdown and an interception, that's not good enough. If he's going to play at this level of quarterback, I'm 100% with you, Dels. How can you have him go forward as your quarterback? Take the L. We saw it with Denver. They're eating $80 million in dead cap. They would rather have that than have Russell Wilson be on the team. The Browns made one of the worst mistakes in NFL history. It's all right to accept you were wrong. Take it, move on, and figure it out. Because now, like you mentioned, you're slapping the rest of the guys on the roster in the face. Because this roster is extremely talented, and it's being completely tarnished by a horrendous quarterback at this point in time.
I love looking back at history, knowing how moves happen and then eventually panned out. I look at the Browns and they made not only one of the worst moves in NFL history at the time, it wasn't a bad move because we all thought Deshaun Watson was still a great quarterback. But what we don't talk about enough is the insensitivity of the move that they made. And when they were in the midst of making the move, I talked about it ad nauseum. Baker Mayfield just won you your first playoff game in over 20 years. He had a great rookie season. He had a bad second season because of an offensive coordinator who turned head coach of Freddie Kitchens. That was no good. Baker Mayfield's third year, he was really damn good. His fourth year, he was playing through multiple injuries and he struggled. He then bounces around. Now he's finding his footing in Tampa Bay, and the Browns would kill to have a quarterback that's playing at the level of Baker Mayfield. That's how awful Deshaun Watson has been. At the time, they slandered Baker Mayfield. They said that they need an adult in the room at quarterback. And Deshaun Watson, at that point in time, had a bunch of allegations against him. And that's the guy they went out and traded for. And they kicked Baker Mayfield to the curb after all that he's done for that franchise. He came to an organization that had not won a game. And then that very next season, he played really well. And he, I think, finished with 7 wins on a year. And he was tremendous in a not so good situation.
Would you not kick Baker to the curb though? For Deshaun?
No, I would
time?
not. No, I would not.
At
I
the
would have kept
time,
Baker Mayfield.
it was pretty easy. At the
You
time, it
sure?
was easy.
Like at the time, you wouldn't kick Baker to the curb for Deshaun?
when you take into account
Deshaun
that
was borderline top 5.
when you take into account that Deshaun Watson was going to miss an entire year of football, and also that he was looking for the guaranteed money,
was
because
elite,
mind
though.
you, every team that was interested in trading for Deshaun Watson, the one thing they were not interested in was giving him a fully guaranteed contract. That's a big reason why the Atlanta Falcons pulled out, and those teams were smart to do so. I now look at the Cleveland Browns, and they are a team that should be panicking the most of any team in the NFL, because not only do they have a quarterback that is unplayable, they have a quarterback that is unlikable, but they have a defense last year that was an elite unit. At home, at least, they shut down teams. And now the first game of the season at home, the Cowboys put a ton of points up on you, on your head, and you have multiple missed plays in the secondary, and Dak Prescott picks you apart. And a rushing offense that we thought Dallas had nothing of. I mean, they were able to run the ball. They were able to do everything on Cleveland.
Back.
So I'm looking at the Cleveland Browns and I'm saying, not only is your offense terrible, but your defense looks like it's going to take a step back, because they're not able to carry this
I don't know about that one.
this dysfunctional offense with this quarterback that cannot play in the NFL anymore.